Number 2 right now is Jalen Hurts. He's 5-1 to win the MVP, as is Patrick Mahomes. J-Mac and J-Mac. That would be John McMullen and Jody McDonald here with you on Birds 365. We head down the shore. Michael Gill from the Sports Bash, 97.3. Sometimes I get those numbers mixed up.
Yeah, it's understandable. You got 97.3 down the shore, 97.5 up here. I used to work with a station. I get it mixed up.
Sometimes used to juxtapose those numbers. So the Sports Bash dude, Mike Gill, will join us coming up in less than 20 minutes. J-Mac, again, a fan issue. And sometimes here on our stream, Jody doesn't know Philly well enough. Let me relate something that I've experienced doing sports talk in this town for 33 years, okay?
You don't know Philly yet, Jody.
No,
maybe a couple more years.
Wet behind the ears, all 33 years of them. This is just my experience that from time to time, Philadelphia fans overstate disrespect. Now, I'm saying this as just 3 weeks ago here on the show, I was getting annoyed by power rankings having the Eagles as the 4th best team in the NFL when they're the only undefeated team, but they're the 4th best team on somebody's power rankings. Yeah, so I could do it myself. I'm casting aspersions inward as well as outward. But just overall, talking about Philadelphia fans, it's almost like they feel the need. Was it you who told the story the other day about Belichick and using the parade for the Super Bowl?
I told that story. Yeah. I told that story. Yeah.
I remember you're telling it just earlier this week that the Philadelphia fans think they're doing that when they say they're being disrespected. Oh, no respect the national media. Nobody gives us credit. Everybody's hating on Philadelphia. Yeah. I think that's always woefully overstated.
It's annoying to be
by the Philadelphia
blunt.
Fan base.
Yeah.
So let me buoy those individuals and say Philly's getting the respect they deserve. Power rankings aside, for all the media outlets and the like, the place that I actually prefer to go to is, and some people disagree with this, I think you're on the same page with me, John, but if you're not, please say so. I actually take more out of the wagering odds than I do a quote-unquote national media outlet's opinion. Because with the odds, there's something real at stake, losing money. If they put out bad odds, the company that's running DraftKings, FanDuel, SportsBet, well, whoever we're talking about here, Bet Parks, Oceans, they don't want to lose money. Nobody wants to lose money. So they're going to work hard to get it as on point as they possibly can. So I'll give you the latest odds on the Eagles' chances to win the Super Bowl. And you want to talk about disrespect. The favorites right now are the Buffalo Bills. They're 5-2 to win the whole thing. The Philadelphia Eagles are second. Now, they're power ranked second. More importantly, they're the second choice right now to win it all, the Super Bowl, 5-1. The Kansas City Chiefs are third choice, and a couple of outlets, power rankings had the Chiefs ahead of the Eagles prior to last week. They got beat by Buffalo, so they rightfully dropped. So the Eagles are right where they should be. The Eagles are 5-1, the Chiefs are 6-1. 49ers, who Johnny Mack had coming out of the NFC this
I'm
year.
not the only one, Jody. We had Clark Judge was on my side as well.
Clark's an old head.
Yeah, he's a 49er fan. Yeah, that's true.
See, that's what I'm talking about. When you're talking about an individual's opinion, sometimes their own experience comes into play.
Yeah.
When you're talking about odds, it's purely a number. They plug in an algorithm. I don't understand the algorithm. Please, oh, by the way, like Birds 365, hit that like button right now while you're at it. You can improve our algorithm. I don't know how, but I'm told to say that, so I do. But I'm told the same thing about odds. It isn't like they have some master genius sitting there and evaluating and moving the number. No, they plug in an algorithm. And that's how they come up with these odds. So, yes, San Francisco, the fourth choice right now at 13-1. Vikings next at 16-1. Ravens 17-1. I like the Ravens when the season started. I haven't necessarily liked the Ravens in the way they played. Cowboys 17-1. Bucks still 18-1. Tom Brady's still getting respect. Talk about respect. He gets respect. Bengals 22-1. Rams 22-1. Chargers 28-1. Packers, Rodgers doesn't get the respect that Brady does. 33-1. Dolphins 33-1. You know, that was my preseason AFC upset pick. They're still getting some respect at 33 at 4-3. The Giants next at 40-1.
Now they're getting no respect.
No respect. They're 6-1.
Yeah.
And they're what I run down about 10 teams. They're the 10th choice. They've got the second best record. They're the 10th choice.
That I'm in that category because I don't believe in the Giants.
I've come around. I'm giving the Giants a little bit more credit than you and/or Vegas is. 6-1 is 6-1.
Yeah, I mean it's very good. I say the same thing about Minnesota as well at 5-1. I don't believe in them, but they have more respect than the Giants. It looks. Look, there's 3 teams to me that are clearly above the pack, and they're the top 3, and they should be the top 3. And the Eagles should be ahead of Kansas City because it's more difficult in the AFC because you have 2, and the NFC you only have 1. So I think those odds are correct. But things change quickly in this league. Things change quickly in this league. I think we had Chris Landry on, and Chris is right because Chris has been around for a long time. Mm-hmm. Tell me who's healthy in December, and I'll tell you who's ready to make a run. It's week 8, Jody. A lot of things can happen. You've seen it. The Giants at 6-1, as good as they've been. Well, they just lost 2 offensive linemen and their tight end. Even if they are for real, they could be impacted by those injuries. We'll see how long. I know Evan Neal's going to miss a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll see how that impacts. The right injury at the wrong place can derail anybody. So in this particular snapshot, they have it right. Those are the 3 best teams right now. But come see me in December, and it might be different.
I agree with you about the top, which is in that order, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs. But take, for instance, the 2 teams you just mentioned. You're not, despite their record saying what they are, the Vikings and the Giants, 2 next best teams in the NFL after the Eagles, with only 1 loss apiece. Do you think the Vikings are significantly better than the Giants?
No.
The Vikings are 60-1. The Giants
category.
Are 40. That's twice as good. That's more than twice as good.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. Why would the Vikings be 16?
Because people thought 40. Because people thought before the season that the Vikings could be okay, and they have more proven commodities. For as much as some people dislike Kirk Cousins, but he's a heck of a lot more proven than Daniel Jones. Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Justin Jefferson, on and on. The Giants are kind of new on the block. Nobody was expecting them. So I think that's just a timing thing as the season goes on. Even if they're both remain successful, those numbers will close and they'll become closer. But nobody believes in the Giants right now. Everybody thinks it's a mirage, and maybe we're wrong, And also, you're right about Clark because he's got a history with the 49ers. But a lot of people believe in the 49ers because of past history. A lot of people believe in Green Bay. We haven't even talked about Green Bay, Tampa Bay, the Rams. You mentioned Tom Brady's respect. Yeah, he gets that respect because of what he's done previously. And those teams get a little bit more respect because of what they've done previously. At some point, if the Giants keep playing the way they're playing, they're going to overcome that. But it's still too early to overcome that.
I think if there's a fan base that can scream out we're being disrespected, it would be the Giants at this point. They find ways to win. There's something to be said for finding ways to win. God, if I haven't heard it over and over and over again the last couple of weeks, the Phillies, they find ways to win. They're so cohesive as a unit. They're fighting for them. I think Dable has done that with the Giants. I look at the Giants roster, and I'm not wowed by it by any stretch of the imagination. But they find ways to win, and I think there's.
Well,
if
you know,
if you believe in the Phillies, you could believe the same exact thing in the Giants.
I say this, and I'm pretty consistent. Odds are different, but you know, we've been doing this show for a while now. So whenever something comes up and people are disrespected by Chris Sims with Jalen Hurts, or people are disrespected by, you know, Pro Football Talks, power rankings, or disrespected by Damo putting number 2, the Eagles in the power. It's one person's opinion. Go to the next person. Go to Jody McDonald's opinion. Go to John McMullen's opinion, or ignore our opinion. Go to the next opinion. Go shopping for an opinion you like. It's just somebody's opinion. That's it. So I never get upset about it. Who cares? I mean, sometimes I agree with people. Sometimes I disagree with people. There's no reason to get upset by that stuff. But I say it all the time. I'm very consistent with it.
And knowing the fan base here in town, they do get upset, or at least they like to show that they get upset and like to be able to voice the opinion. Everybody hates us. It happens to Philadelphia all the time. No, it doesn't. I give you a prime example. Above and beyond the fact that the Eagles are the second choice right now to go to the Super Bowl. MVP odds. The favorite is Josh Allen. He's plus 125, so he's almost even money to win the MVP, which is a fairly strong, heavy MVP. Number 2 right now is Jalen Hurts. He's 5-1 to win the MVP, as is Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs. So it's co-second choices in the betting outlet that I checked this morning. That's a pretty big difference between plus 125, which is slightly below 6-5, or between 7-5 and 6-5, and 5-1. That's a pretty big jump. So Allen is a prohibitive favorite right now for MVP, but Jalen Hurts is second choice. Raise your hand if you had Jalen Hurts in the MVP race before the season started. Come on, be honest. Put your friggin' hand down. Nobody had Jalen Hurts in the MVP race. So it isn't, everything isn't dug in with their heels. Well, this is what I thought before the season started. No. We've got 6 weeks of evidence and numbers being piled up, and Jalen Hurts deserves to be number 2 in the MVP. Yeah. So the whole, he thought that before the season started. In some things that holds water. In others, they just go by the board, and Jalen Hurts MVP case.
I always got, I probably told you this before, this, the whole world is against us when it comes to TV announcers. I mean, and I always say about football specifically, like a lot of people don't know how many people behind the scenes in these broadcasts are Eagles fans, because NFL Films has been in Mount Laurel for years. If anything, it's the opposite. There's way more Eagles fans than anybody else on these broadcasts. Now, when you get to the national, you get the Tony Romos and the Troy Aikmans and the Darryl Johnstons. They always go for the Cowboy players, right? Jason Witten. But overall, and I listen to Tony all the time. He's one of the few guys I do listen to, because when I am watching a game, which isn't often because I'm usually at games, he's one of the few I listen to. I'm kind of turned down the volume guy. I just watch the game. But he's really good. There's no evidence of overriding Cowboy. I just don't get it. And even if I got it, I'd be like, all right, who gives a flying? He played for the team for 15 years, whatever it was. All right. Yeah, he likes the Cowboys. Who cares? I don't get it.
We're dealing with that on the baseball side now. I think Smoltz is phenomenal.
Oh, Smoltz has been, and by the way, I ought to, no offense to these Phillies fans, and because there are a lot of hardcore Phillies fans, but there's also a lot of Johnny-come-latelys that are here for the ride. And they're saying, how could you have John Smoltz? He's been doing it for years. They didn't show up and say, the Phillies are in the playoffs and they're playing the Braves. We're going to get John Smoltz. I mean, come on. How long has he been doing that, Jody?
It was so much better than they had to A-Rod and Michael Kay for the first series against the Cardinals. They're just awful. Well, Kay's a professional. I shouldn't say that. A-Rod's awful. Smoltz is so much better at what he does. It's ridiculous. But yeah, he was considered a Brave more than anything else. He called it right down the middle, as he should, as he always does, because he's as good as he is. I get more of that on the baseball side than on the football side, because the football, there is no hometown announcer on television. There is on radio. That would be Merrill. And a lot of people do turn down the sound on the TV and turn up their radio. So therefore, they don't have an opinion on the broadcast on the television side. If you do listen to the TV, you don't realize that they're not as homerish as your usual television broadcasters, because John Smoltz is replacing Tom McCarthy, and McCarthy will give you the hometown point of view on everything. Why? Because he's a Phillies employee doing the broadcasting. You don't have that change on television the way you do with the other sports. I think that it's a football thing, but it's more of a baseball thing of fan bases complaining about the guy rooting against them on the television broadcast.
So I just looked it up. 2014, Smoltz started with Box, and he was number one. He was on the number one team by 2016. So it's been a while. They didn't show up and say, oh, guess what? The Braves are playing the Phillies. Let's get John Smoltz to get the tweak the Phillies man. He does it every single year if you paid attention. So that's, some people, obviously the hardcore fans know that. The Johnny-come-latelys do not know that. And then you get this whole, oh, John, how could John Smoltz be doing a Braves-Phillies game? Because he's the best in the stinking business. Right. That's why.
He's been a lead voice for the broadcast network that has the top playoff games for 7 years. You're right. He didn't just come to the forefront at this time. All right. He's John McMullen. I'm Jody McDonald. Up next, we're headed down the shore. Mr. Sports Bash himself from 97.3 ESPN, Mike Gill. I'm going to ask him about the West. You think the West Virginia coach is going to get fired?
Yeah, why not? He should be. Yeah, a lot of West Virginia issues. Wow, yeah,
I love pimping Gill about West Virginia. Mike Gill coming up next here on Birds 365. Stick around.